Hello, welcome to part 2. I went out and got my parts yesterday. When I came back, I had a little scare. I disconnected the wire, or was disconnecting the wires from the selenium rectifier, and I heard a little snap and one of the wires went limp. And at first I thought that I had that I had broken the wire from the high voltage secondary, and then my fear was compounded when I went to check continuity and I got nothing. As it turns out, two things. First of all, it was just the insulation on the wires that broke, so I packed it full of our favorite liquid tape. So I packed it full of liquid tape, let that dry for, well, basically overnight. But as it turns out, these wires are, not only are they really thin, so whatever this coating is over the top of them, the wire itself is also laminated like magnet wire. So basically, they're fine. It works fine. I get 250 volts out of it, so that was a big relief. So after that scare, I had taken off the selenium rectifier and pried around the edges, pulled it apart, and basically what I ended up digging out of there was, I'm assuming it's a 2-section, and it's just all of these little plates, just as we would normally see with the regular rectifiers. I had this in a nice stack and then it fell over just before I started recording. So each of these little discs was separated by another piece of metal that I'm assuming this is the selenium that's in between the plates there. Anyhow, so that was about yay tall, which I guess you don't really, it's about 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches. And then it had an insulator on the inside around it, which looked actually like photographic film. And I went ahead and replaced it with a bridge rectifier. I had a 5314, but that wasn't quite enough. The maximum regulated input voltage, I think, on that was 280, and this is 250, but the schematic said 280, so anyway, I went to go buy one. I bought a 5316, and now I can't, oh, there it is. Although what I had to do on this was just, you know, regular bridge rectifier. I know 8 amps is a bit of an overkill, but I wanted this shape because the larger ones were not going to fit in this can, and as it is, I ended up having to file the edges down on one of these in order to get it to fit inside the can with the, I left the insulator in there, or put the insulator back, I should say, because it all fits in real nice. And so that's back in. I soldered it back together, clamped it down, and now what I'm going to do is go ahead and I guess I'm going to pull off the electrolytic can. I might wait on that until I actually order the electrolytic capacitors, so I guess I'll go ahead and continue cleaning on some of this, and maybe I think I'll pull out the electrostatic tweeter and let's take it apart on camera and see what they looks like. It may not be bad, it may just be corroded and need new foam. When I looked on the web page that I found where the guy has rebuilt a couple of these, there's 3, well, the components are, you've got a stator, you've got a high voltage golden colored piece of mylar of some sort, And then there's a paper insulator, and then there's a piece of foam to keep it rigid and from touching the stator. So there's a couple of places it can go wrong. The coating on the plastic or mylar can corrode, or it can, if there was a short, it can arc and short out. So maybe we'll get lucky and it's just corroded. But anyway, less talk, more show. So I'll be back. Hello, welcome back. I have not done an update in several days. I have worked on this off and on. I haven't gotten to the electrostatic tweeter yet. I keep meaning to pull that out, but it's been a rather busy work week and other things. So one of the things that I happened to notice, I started replacing some of the components. I made an order with Mauser last week, maybe on Sunday or so. And my post office has gone MIA again. I'm assuming we have another postal carrier, because this poor frazzled woman walked up to me last Saturday at about almost 7 p.m. asking me where the mailboxes were. And consequently, I have not seen mail all week until yesterday. I had a package that was due on Monday, showed up yesterday, and I of course ordered my Mauser parts priority overnight, and they've been stuck at the post office waiting an update since Wednesday. So lucky me. And now I have to make another order with Mauser because just for the heck of it, I thought I read somewhere that the styrene capacitors were good. They didn't go bad, but that none of them are shorted, but they are so far out of tolerance, I had to actually pull out. I've actually pulled out a bunch of mica capacitors to make sure my Sen core wasn't messed up. So now I get to make another one, and I need to replace. I have not tested every single one of these because of course I have to disconnect one end, and some of these are not fun, especially down in here in the switch mechanism. But I tested, there's about a little over a dozen of them. I tested 6 of them, and all 6 were just all whacked out as far as out of tolerance. There's a 270 up here in the voice switch that reads as, this is supposed to be 270 picofarads, and it reads at 1200 and something. And I thought it was actually mismarked, because I think it's like 1269, and I kept thinking, oh, well, did they forget to put a 1 on there? And then I tested, what did I test? I tested 120 here, and it tested out at like 3980. And I disconnected one of these in here, but anyway, they were all off. And like I said, I actually went and pulled out a bunch of the silver mica ones just to make sure that my Sen core wasn't screwy. So I'm going to have to order a bunch of those. Good times. So being that was late, I started replacing a couple of the .022s with .02s. Kind of funny that I'm actually going backwards, because modern capacitors they don't make .02, they make .022 and etc. So anyhow, so I've just been going through and replacing some of those. I'm going to pull out the tweeter. I do need to find some foam for it. I've also gone through and done a bunch of cleaning. I tried, but I could not get this switch. There was no way I was going to get this switch out of here without pulling the FM box off and the tuner, and I don't want to mess with all that. So I spent about an hour and a half very carefully in here cleaning up the contacts. It was pretty easy. whatever grease they used in here melts away real nicely with CRC. And I was able to, these pulleys here for the dial string, they actually are held on by C-clamps, not riveted like on the Philcos. So I was able to pull those off, clean up all the grease, and re-grease them with lithium grease. I was able to unstick the control, the volume control, and re-lubricate that without pulling it apart too much. I wanted to be very, very careful with this because this particular volume control was custom made for Grundig. It is not available. It could be replaced, but it has 2 loudness taps at I think 380 and like 800, and the radio will not sound right without these 2 loudness taps that tie into the dual bass and treble control. So this bass and treble control are going to be able to come off more a bit, so I will be able to get in there and clean and polish up the plastic indicators as well. Another thing is I still cannot find the lamp for this, the correct lamp for this. It's a 7 volt, although, you know, 6.3 wouldn't kill me, but it's a 7 volt 0.3 amp bulb. I'm using a 46, which is, you know, 6.3, 0.25. I'm hoping it's bright enough. Otherwise, I may attempt to find an LED. But the sticking point on all of this is the fact that it uses a screw base. Because I can get, in the bayonet base, I can get just about any amperage I want at 6.3 volts. So, what else did I do? Oh, I soldered this all back together here. And I actually don't think these wires are laminated. Don't laugh at me. I think the reason why I wasn't getting any voltage is because I had the power. I didn't have the power turned on. So, anyway, don't laugh. So this is all back together. If I have the fuse, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. If I have the fuse set at 120 on the 125 volts, I get 240 volts out of the transformer, and I should actually get 280-ish. There are 2 voltages on here, 275 and 280, and my assumption is that it's, depending on whether you use 220 or 110, it's not really clear on the schematic, but I'm getting 241 out of the transformer, and I actually don't get any discernible voltage drop through the bridge rectifier, which is kind of weird, but maybe because there's no load, I'm not sure. So alternately, if I move the fuse over to the 110 side, I will get 276 volts. So if all my voltages are too low and I'm getting bad performance, I can always move the fuse over. 2 other things I noticed were that the schematic shows this, it's 3900, no, it's a 4700 picofarad, or 0.0047 at 500 volts, and it shows this one up here, which looks like it's fried, but it's actually, the reason why it looks fried is because there was a 3-watt resistor here originally, and apparently those fried almost immediately when you from people that own the radio. So it had been replaced, but it burned up the paper on here. I was able to clean it off enough with alcohol, and while it was wet, noticed that it was, as they have it marked as 1000 picofarad, which is 1 nanofarad. I don't know why 2 of the caps were marked in nanofarad when 3 of the caps are nanofarad when all of the others are in microfarads. But I guess because they were a different brand, I'm not sure. Anyways, the problem is that both this one here and the one up here both say 1000 volts. So when I go to order the super small caps to replace the styrene, I'm going to order some 1000 volt ones. I'll put the 600, the 630s in there. Well, maybe not, if I'm going to make an order, but I'm obviously going to have to get delivery via FedEx, which really annoys the crap out of me because the Mauser distribution center is 20 miles from me. So, anyway, I'm going to replace the styrene with, I believe, styrene, actually. I think that's what it said, they showed on Mauser. So they're either going to be polystyrene or polyethylene or polyester, I'm not sure. I don't think I can use silver mica on these because these are, sound does go through these, and I don't think silver mica gets along very well with sound. Now my other worry is that there are styrene capacitors inside the coils, and they don't look like they come apart very easily. In fact, I didn't... Yeah, I'm not sure how they come apart. So, that's my only concern on those. But we'll see. So I'm not going to go ahead and mess with those unless I have to. But, like I said, all of these other ones that I tested were just so far out of tolerance, it made me question my Sencor. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and upload this as a second video. And I'm going to go ahead and start the third video off with the tweeter repair. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you in a few days.